still trying.
I watched you go from a window down below, and just hear him say it's the last time you'd walk away. Why does anybody ever go? I don't know, I don't know. Why couldn't I just raise my voice to say, don't go, please stay for at least one more day.
Hello and welcome. This is The Art of Giving Up, your podcast for giving up bad days, bad ways, unfortunate habits, bad relationships, bad friends, bad everything. As always, I'm your host, Steven, and I want to thank you, yes, you, for joining me on this, my journey of self-discovery, of learning, and of growth. And if you listen to the podcast, you might have noticed there wasn't one last week, and that's because I was in the hospital because I had, or I guess still have, acute bronchitis. So doing the talking thing and the breathing thing is a little hard for me right now, but we're going to get through it and we're going to make it happen this week. I recorded something last week, but it was wickety wild. I think I might post it. I didn't realize how sick I was, and I just tried and I just lost energy halfway through it, and I was just like, I'm not going to edit this. I'm not going to do anything with this. And I just let it go off the rails. But for now, this is what we're doing. And this week, we're going to talk about how it all happens again. Because I was watching Battlestar Galactica, and I kind of like the whole idea, the whole concept, the reality of like cyclical thinking and of history and behavior. And I noticed in myself that I see a lot of that, repeating over and over similar habits. And I touched on this a little bit on the blog at habitofwellness.wordpress.com. And I kind of, was talking about like love for me as an example where like, I love, and no matter what happens, no matter how hard it is or how bad it is, I kind of, no matter how unhealthy it is, I kind of hold on to it. And it's kind of because when it comes to habits, habits aren't really formed out of pure insanity. We tend to do things because at one point in our lives, we did get a benefit from them, maybe when you were in high school, you, ditched class a lot and had a lot of fun with your friends. So you kind of made it a habit of, not showing up on time or of leaving early or of not really engaging. And we carry these habits, and I think it's because like subconsciously, we did at some point benefit from these things. And so, it's like, I do it because at one point it benefited me, and maybe I'll get there again. And when it comes to like relationships and love, it's the same thing, but it's a little bit more complex, because if you loved someone, if you fall out of love, you might love them again. Or if they fall out of love with you, or if things aren't well, maybe they'll be well again, or maybe they'll fall in love with you again. And when it comes to like interactions and things, there's always a possibility of a maybe. There's always a maybe. And when there's a maybe, where there's hope, that's where you kind of like do things to kind of try to make it happen, or maybe you stay on the same path, or, But when really thinking about what this is and what I'm doing and this whole concept of coming up with this habit of wellness, and I'm like, what is a habit of wellness? What is a habit of wellness? And I have to think about what are some unhealthy habits, because I don't know, one day I was sitting here recording and I was like, bad days, bad ways, unfortunate habits, bad relationships. And I was just like, what is a bad habit? What causes them? Why do we feel the need to do over and over and over again, right? And it's like, well, we kind of have to form habits, everything that we do is kind of a habit, the way that we sit on the toilet and wipe our behinds, the way we eat the food on our plates, the way that we watch television, and the things that we do before. Like, before, like me, I don't like to flip through Netflix. I go to Netflix and I kind of like to know what I have in mind. But some people like to flip through even if they can watch the same thing. Some people like to watch an episode of The Office. These are all habits, and living life and improving and growth all has to come from like forming healthy habits and doing things that are good for you. But because life is so cyclical, we find ourselves drawn into similar situations. That means in addition to the negatives, right? Like the unhealthy relationship. Everybody knows the unhealthy relationship, or like the ones that I had when I was younger. It's like, I met you, and it's like, I just met you, I love you, let's date. And then it falls apart, and then you do it again. And people would think, well, why would you do it again? Because it obviously fell apart. But people always forget about the beginning, where it was good, and it was great, and it was intense, and it was powerful. And that's what we're feeling. That's what we want. That's what we're chasing. So when forming new habits, we kind of, I think, have to open up our minds a little bit and kind of focus and think, like, what kind of habits can I create? What kind of habits can I form that, don't require me to have like that sense of pleasure now, that instant gratification now, but in the long run are going to help me. And I think personally, it's kind of scary because especially, and I stick to relationships. I think about that a lot because it's hard, especially when you love someone or you care about someone, and it's a roller coaster, right? And things about roller coasters, there are ups and there are downs, but when you're on the down, all you can think about is the next time it's going to be up. And when you're up, you don't think about the next time it's going to be down. But the older I get, the less I want to be on a roller coaster. The older I get, the less that I want to have something exciting and something I'd rather have that's consistent and passionate and caring. And I want that from my relationships. I want that from my friendships. I want that from my professional life. I want things to be consistent. I do want a little excitement, but I really want to look for, to create an environment around me and to create thought processes in myself where things turn out awesome because I work hard and because I no longer chase after things that aren't healthy for me. But of course, this is definitely where the reality of being a human, intersects with the things that we need and that we want to do, where I feel like I need this. I feel like I need passion, or I feel like I need consistency, but excitement gets me going. Excitement gets into me and makes me like do wild things. And no matter how much consistency I want, or how much consistency I need, or how much I want to form good habits, it's comfortable. It's comfortable. And while I do acknowledge that, like, and again, I've changed, like, the hard work is not enough. For example, when it comes to being financial success, there are many factors. But one thing that you will notice, the one thing that you will see, is that the people who maintain like a healthy lifestyle, or the people who grow their professional life, or who like are very successful, they do things like get up in the morning and go jogging and eat healthily and exercise. And people who are fit and healthy, what do? They do these things consistently. And it's because you have to work hard in order to achieve your goals, and sometimes it's not pleasant. And I think that, for me at least, something about the kind of habits that I kind of want habits that I'm like, well, I'll form this habit. When I get up every day, I'll get up and I'll have a nice breakfast and I'll feel good. And I'll go for a nice walk and clear my head every day. When in reality, what I need to do to break the cycle, to break the wheel, is something drastic, something most likely not comfortable, where I don't get gratification, where I don't get to play League of Legends at 2:30 in the morning when I have to work at 9 the next day. I need to form good habits, and that's kind of the only way to stop these things from happening over and over again, is to kind of allow myself to be uncomfortable. Because even in unhealthy habits and ways and in relationships, in jobs, we find kind of a comfort in it. No matter how much you complain about it. When I was at Starbucks, it's like, oh, it sucks. But I was so comfortable there because it was a thing that I knew, and I knew how to do it well. And I was talking to people that I knew, and even if the people who annoyed you, or they were angry at you, or they were bad, or you had an argument, it was comfortable because that's what you do. But the reality of what the world is that success does not come from being comfortable. If anything, if you look at the situations you're comfortable in, when people are comfortable in relationships, it's like, oh, well, it's not great. He doesn't really listen to me. We don't really get along, but it's comfortable. Or, my growth in my job is not great, but, it's comfortable. And that comfort doesn't gain you anything. That comfort doesn't cause you to, to really evaluate. And I definitely read a lot of articles about how people like to say you need to be troubled to be an artist, and you do not need to be troubled to be an artist. You do not need to go through angst and struggle to survive. But there's a reason why people who now granted, a lot of people who struggle, who deal with abuse or homelessness and severe poverty, aren't able to crawl out of that, because I suffer from that as well. You're traumatized. But the people who do, who have the willpower to, part of it is because they've never really been comfortable. And if you ever listen to any of these people who are really wealthy speak, who were poor, and I'm not talking about people who are born into wealth, listen to Joe Rogan or freaking Gene Simmons or something, where Gene Simmons came from Israel, and he was poor as dirt, and he came here and didn't speak English and taught himself English because he had to, because people were being anti-Semitic, and he didn't speak English, and he had a nickel and he bought ice cream. Or Joe Rogan was poor but wanted to be a comedian, and he was dumb. And Adam Carolla, who dropped out of high school and was surrounded by people who didn't know or do anything, but he thought he was kind of funny, and he knew boxing, and he taught Jimmy Kimmel boxing, and he ended up on the radio. And all these people, you listen to them and you listen to their stories, and it's listen, they were not happy, and sometimes they're still not happy, and they never really feel comfortable or secure. Adam Carolla always talks about how he's cheap, and I haven't listened to him in years, but he used to always tell a story about how they went to a hotel, and it was a free continental breakfast with make your own pancakes and stuff, but the kids wanted a kind of pancake that wasn't on there, and they would pay for it. And the wife was like, yeah, just let him. And he was just but why? We have it for free. Because, there is definitely something about being uncomfortable and not settling that allows you to really put things into perspective. But it's difficult because you have to overcome your trauma. So yeah, go see a psychiatrist. There you go. Yeah, this is a little difficult for me. Having a little the breathing and the bronchitis thing, but it's working. I want to thank you guys for being patient. I want to thank you guys for being here for me, and I want to thank you guys for trying, because I know it's hard. Stuff hurts, Ooh, you hear that? That's pro. I'm so good. Well, I don't know how to stop it. Or not. How do I stop you? Okay, there you go. That was my little timer there telling me it's time to wrap it up. Well, there we go. This has been the Art of Giving Up. Hopefully next week I'll be better. I'll sound better. I'll feel better. I want to thank you guys again for joining me. Remember, you can always reach out. Art of Giving Up podcast at gmail.com. DA Art of Giving Up on Twitter. Art of Giving Up on Instagram, and the Art of Giving Up Facebook page. Remember, I know life's hard. Sometimes it sucks, but you're not alone. So as always, I'm your host, Steven. Peace.
It's strange what desire will make foolish people do.